Welcome back, my friend. My name is Shafi, and this is Feel Learns English. Today, we are going to talk about something very special, something powerful, something that can truly change the way you learn forever. Let me think for a moment. Yes, I really believe this lesson can change how you read, how you learn, and how you remember. Today, we are going to learn how to remember what you read. And when I say remember, I don't mean like a robot or a supercomputer. I mean remembering in a real, human way. Much better than before. In a way that actually stays with you. If you're new here, welcome. You are now part of our learning family. And if you are coming back again, that makes me very happy. Thank you for returning. It really means a lot. Before we begin this journey together, I want to ask you a simple question. Have you ever finished reading a book and felt proud? You closed the book and thought, yes, I did it. You spent hours reading. Maybe days. You felt smart, accomplished, and happy. But then something happens. A few days later, or maybe 1 week later, a friend asks you, so, what was the book about? And suddenly, your mind goes blank. You remember the cover. Maybe you remember the author's name. But the ideas? The lessons? The advice you wanted to use in your life? Gone. Like fog. That feeling is so frustrating, right? Tell me in the comments if this has ever happened to you. I really want to know. Because trust me, you are not alone. Let me explain what this feels like. It feels like you have a beautiful bucket. But the bucket has many tiny holes. You work very hard. You pour water into it. You fill it with knowledge. Books. Articles. Podcasts. Lessons. But when you come back later to use that knowledge, the bucket is empty. All the water leaked out. And then you start to ask yourself, am I really learning? Is reading even working for me? Maybe you've read 20 books, 50 books, even 100 books. Maybe you listen to podcasts every day. But if someone asks you about them, you can only remember a little. Maybe 10%. Maybe even less. Here is something very important I want you to understand. The problem is not you. It's not your memory. It's not your brain. The real problem is this. Nobody taught us how to learn properly. We were taught a big lie about learning. We were told that learning means consuming more. Read more books. Read faster. Listen to more content. Watch more videos. We download speed reading apps. We listen to audiobooks at double speed. We think success means pushing more and more information into our heads. But what if this idea is completely wrong? What if learning is not about more? What if it's not about faster? What if the secret to remembering is something very different? Something simple, but very powerful. Today, I'm going to share a system with you. A real method. A method used by the best learners in the world. This system helps turn information into lasting knowledge. Knowledge that stays with you. Knowledge that becomes part of who you are. This is not magic. It's a skill. And you can start using it today. Stay with me. We're going to leave the old, broken way of learning behind. And we're going to build something new together. By the end of this lesson, you will understand how to remember what you read. You will stop wasting your time. Every book, every article, every lesson will mean something. And if you want daily English practice that keeps you motivated and improving, don't forget to subscribe to Feel Learns English. Consistency is the real secret to progress. Now, let's understand why we forget. Our world loves a dangerous myth. The myth says, learning is the same as consuming. More is better. Faster is smarter. We hear stories about people who read one book every day, and we feel slow. We feel behind. We feel like we're not good enough. I call this the consumption-only model. It's like eating all day but never digesting your food. You're full, but your body gets no nutrition. That's why most people forget almost everything they read. Now, think about your brain in a new way. Your brain is not a computer. It's not a hard drive. Your brain is more like a garden. A living, growing garden. Every time you read something new, it's like planting a small seed. But seeds don't grow by accident. If you throw seeds on the ground and walk away, most of them disappear. The wind blows them away. The rain washes them away. To grow a real garden, you must be intentional. You plant the seed carefully. You water it. You give it sunlight. You help it connect with other plants. When you read without stopping to think, you are throwing seeds on hard ground. The information never gets a chance to grow. That's why, 1 week later, the book is gone from your memory. And speed reading? Speed reading is like using a fire hose in your garden. Yes, there is water everywhere. Yes, it looks powerful. But it's not gentle. It's not careful. And real learning needs care. When you try to learn too fast, something strange happens. You are actually blasting the seeds away. Your eyes move quickly across the words. You see the sentences. You recognize the vocabulary. But your mind is not really working. Your mind is not stopping. It is not thinking deeply. It is not connecting ideas. And real learning needs something very important. It needs time. Real learning needs you to slow down. It needs you to pause. It needs you to sit with an idea and think about it. You need to ask questions like, what does this really mean? How does this connect to my life? Have I seen this idea before? Now let's talk about another common problem, cramming. This is what many students do before big exams. They try to force a huge amount of information into their brain in one night. And yes, sometimes it works. You pass the test. You remember the information for one day. But 1 week later, it's gone. Completely gone. Psychologists call this the forgetting curve. More than 100 years ago, a scientist named Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered something shocking. He showed that we forget new information very quickly unless we actively work to remember it. Cramming only uses short-term memory. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. You can do it for a moment, but very soon, the water slips through your fingers. If you are still with me, type yes in the comments. I want to know you're here, learning with me. Now, here's the most important thing I want you to understand deeply. The old way of learning only focuses on half of the process. Imagine a chef. This chef goes to the market. He buys the freshest vegetables, the best fish, the most beautiful spices. The ingredients are perfect. But then, he never cooks them. He just leaves them on the table. The potential for an amazing meal is there, but it is completely wasted. This is how most people learn. To truly remember what you read, you must complete the process. You must move beyond one step. You need a two-stage system. Are you ready? The 2 stages are consumption and digestion. Let me say that again, because it matters so much. Consumption and digestion. Consumption is taking information in. This is reading a book, watching a video, listening to a podcast. Digestion is processing that information, breaking it down, connecting it to what you already know, making it truly yours. Think about food. Putting food in your mouth is easy. That's consumption. But where does energy come from? Where does strength come from? It comes from digestion. That's when your body breaks food down and turns it into energy. Without digestion, eating has no real value. Learning works the same way. Now let's look at these 2 stages more closely. Stage 1, consumption. This is where you read or listen. But we are going to do it differently now. We are not empty buckets waiting to be filled. We are active hunters searching for useful knowledge. The goal is not to finish the book quickly. The goal is to find specific valuable ideas. So before you read, you must read with purpose. Before you open a book, ask yourself, what problem am I trying to solve? What question do I want answered? Maybe you want to speak English more confidently. Maybe you want to wake up earlier. Maybe you want to be a better friend. This question becomes your guide, your filter. Reading changes from a passive activity into an active mission. This also means something very important. You do not need to read every book from start to finish. You can treat a book like a library. First, look at the table of contents. That's your map. Read the introduction to understand the main idea. Read the conclusion to see the summary. Then go directly to the chapters that matter most to your question. This saves time, and it keeps you focused. Now, when you find an interesting idea, most people reach for a highlighter. They color the page yellow or pink or blue. The page looks busy. It looks like learning happened. But highlighting is passive. You are not really thinking. Later, when you look back, everything looks important. And when everything is important, nothing is important. The better way is to talk to the book. Use a pen or pencil. Write in the margins. If an idea excites you, write your thoughts. If you disagree, write why. If it connects to something you already know, write that connection. A book you truly learn from should not look clean and perfect. It should look used. A little messy. That mess shows thinking. This active way of consuming prepares you for stage 2. The stage that most people skip. The digestion stage. This is where real learning happens. If consumption is buying the ingredients, digestion is cooking the meal. This is where information becomes knowledge. This is where learning becomes permanent. Turning information into something you can actually use is the goal. If you skip this digestion stage, you will forget. I promise you. This is the real reason we forget what we read. We buy the food, but we never cook it. Now, the digestion stage is not just one single activity. It is a framework. A system. Why? Because not all information is the same. Learning a recipe is different from learning history. Learning a math formula is different from learning philosophy. Different types of knowledge need different tools. That's why I want to teach you something I call the PACER framework. PACER is easy to remember: P-A-C-E-R. Each letter represents a different type of information and a specific way to digest it. When you use the right process for the right type of knowledge, you learn faster, deeper, and you remember much more. Let's break it down together. P is for procedural. Procedural information is how to knowledge. It is steps, methods, techniques. Think about a recipe for making bread. That's procedural. Think about instructions for a yoga pose, or a tutorial showing you how to use a new app. This kind of knowledge is about action. Here is the biggest mistake people make with procedural information. They try to memorize it. They read the steps. They write them in a notebook. They make flashcards. They think, if I remember the steps, I'll know how to do it. This is a huge waste of time and energy. Procedural knowledge is not learned through memorization. It is learned through practice. Say it with me: practice. You cannot learn how to swim by reading about swimming. You must get in the water. You cannot learn guitar by watching videos. You must pick up the guitar and play. Procedural knowledge must live in your body, in your muscle memory, not just in your brain. So from now on, when you read about a process, stop reading and start doing. If a book explains a technique for active listening, use it in your very next conversation. If you learn a new keyboard shortcut, don't just write it down. Open the program and use it 3 times. Make your fingers remember. Doing it immediately is critical. The longer you wait between learning and doing, the more you forget. If you can't practice right away, that's okay. But don't just highlight it and move on. Schedule it. Open your phone calendar and make an appointment with yourself. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., I will practice this pronunciation technique. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., I will try this conversation starter. The goal is to create a tight loop. Learn how. Do how. Learn how. Do how. This changes your mindset completely. You stop thinking, I need to remember this. And you start thinking, I need to do this. This is how you learn procedural knowledge. This is P. A is for analogous. Analogous information is about connections. It connects a new idea to something you already understand. It builds a bridge between the unknown and the known. Imagine a teacher explaining electricity. Electricity is invisible and hard to understand. So the teacher says, electricity flowing through a wire is like water flowing through a pipe. Now you can visualize it. Now the idea feels clearer. Analogies are powerful because our brains love connections. We learn new things by attaching them to the knowledge we already have. The stronger the connection, the stronger the memory. An analogy gives you a ready-made connection. But here is the key question. How do you digest analogous information? Do you just accept the analogy and move on? No, that is still passive. The digestion process here is critique. Critique means questioning, testing, and thinking deeply. When you see an analogy in a book, ask it 3 questions. Question 1. How is this analogy correct? For electricity and water, where does the comparison work? Both have pressure. Voltage is like water pressure. Both have flow. Electric current is like water flow. This helps you understand the new idea better. Question 2. How is this analogy not correct? Where does it break down? Water molecules physically move through a pipe. Electrons in a wire don't move the same way. They mostly shift slightly. Understanding the limits of an analogy protects you from false ideas. It makes your understanding more accurate. Question 3. Can I create a better analogy? One that is more accurate or more personal. When you try to create your own analogy, your brain has to work hard. And that hard work builds strong, lasting memory. So when a book says, a business is like a sports team, don't just nod and move on. Ask, how is it similar? Both have shared goals, different roles. How is it different? A business never really ends. And losing in business can mean losing your job. This turns a simple comparison into deep understanding. This is A. Alright, quick break, smiling face with smiling eyes. Did you subscribe yet? I'm watching you. Just kidding. But seriously, subscribing helps you stay consistent with your English practice, and consistency is everything. C is for conceptual. Conceptual information is about big ideas. It answers the questions what and why. These are theories, principles, and big frameworks. For example, supply and demand in economics is a concept. Mindfulness is a philosophical concept. These ideas help you understand how the world works. In most books, this is the most important information. These are the core lessons the author wants to teach you. But how do most people learn concepts? They read in a straight line. They take notes in a simple list, from top to bottom, exactly as the author wrote it. This is a problem. It's like trying to understand a big city by walking down only one street. You see some buildings, but you don't see how the streets connect. You don't see the full city. Experts don't think in lists. Experts think in networks. They see relationships. They see patterns. They see how ideas influence each other. So the digestion process for conceptual information is mapping. This means creating a mind map. Here's how to do it. Take a blank piece of paper. In the center, write the main concept. Draw a circle around it. As you read, find the main supporting ideas. Draw a line from the center and write one supporting idea. Circle it too. Then, as you find smaller ideas, branch out again. Draw more lines. Add more words. Use different colored pens if you can. Use arrows to show relationships. Ask questions like, how does this idea affect that idea? Do these two ideas support each other? Do they contradict each other? This process forces you to build your own mental model. You are not copying the author's words. You are rebuilding the ideas in your own way. For example, if you make a mind map for a book about healthy habits, your center circle might say healthy lifestyle. From that, branches go to exercise, nutrition, sleep, and mental health. From exercise, smaller branches go to cardio, strength, and flexibility. With one glance, you can see how everything connects. You can see that poor sleep affects mental health, which lowers motivation, which reduces exercise. This changes you. You are no longer a passive reader. You become an architect of knowledge. And because you built the structure yourself, remembering becomes much easier. This is C. E is for evidence. Evidence is the information that supports concepts. It is the proof. This includes statistics, numbers and percentages, case studies, real-life stories, historical examples, scientific research. For example, the concept is exercise is good for your brain. The evidence is a study that shows people who exercise regularly have a lower risk of cognitive decline. The concept is the big idea. The evidence proves it. So, what mistake do most people make with evidence? They try to memorize everything. Dates, percentages, study names. This wastes mental energy. It fills your brain with details and distracts you from understanding the main idea. The better digestion process is store and rehearse. This has two parts. First, store. Your job is not to memorize evidence immediately. Your job is to save it somewhere safe. This place is often called a second brain. It can be a digital tool like Notion, Evernote, or Google Keep, or a physical notebook system. When you find a strong statistic or a powerful story, take it out of the book and put it into your second brain. Then tag it. For example, tag a statistic with exercise and brain health. This frees your real brain. Your mind can relax because it knows the information is safe. Now your brain can focus on understanding ideas instead of memorizing details. Second, rehearse. Storing is not enough. Rehearsal means using the evidence later. You retrieve it. You might explain an idea to a friend and open your notes to support your point. Or you might write a short summary and include one strong statistic. Every time you retrieve and use the evidence, your memory becomes stronger. This works because long-term memory grows through retrieval over time, not through repeating something 20 times in one sitting. This is E. R is for reference. Reference information is the smallest and most specific type of knowledge. These are single facts such as the spelling of a difficult English word, a technical definition, an exact historical date. People waste huge amounts of time trying to memorize these through repetition. It's boring, it's slow, and it's inefficient. The digestion process for reference information is also store and rehearse, but with one powerful addition: spaced repetition. First, store the information. When you find a reference fact you need, don't try to memorize it immediately. Extract it and put it into a flashcard system. This could be a physical flashcard or a digital app. Spaced repetition will then show you the card again at the perfect time, just before you forget. Each review strengthens the memory. This method works with your brain, not against it. And that completes the PACER framework. Different knowledge, different tools, one powerful system. You can use physical paper flashcards and they do work. But there is something even more powerful. It is called a spaced repetition system, or SRS. The most popular SRS app is called Anki. N-K-I. And the best part? It's free. So what is an SRS? It is a smart flashcard system. A very smart one. It shows you a flashcard just before you are about to forget it. How does it know when that moment is? It uses a scientific algorithm based on the forgetting curve we talked about earlier. When you first learn a fact, the app might show it again after 1 minute. If you remember it, it waits 10 minutes. If you remember again, it waits 1 day. Then 4 days. Then 2 weeks. Each time you remember correctly, the time gap becomes longer. This is the most efficient method science has discovered for memorizing facts. The power of this system is huge, and the process is beautifully simple. While you are reading, you find a fact you need to remember. For example, The definition of a new English word. You open your SRS app on your phone. In about 10 seconds, you create a new flashcard. On the front, you write the question, "What does ephemeral mean?" On the back, you write the answer, "Lasting for a very short time." Then you close the app and go right back to reading. Your mind stays fresh. You don't waste energy trying to memorize immediately. That is the store part. The rehearse part happens later. Each day, you spend just 10 to 15 minutes reviewing. The app tells you exactly which cards to study. You are separating two important activities. Understanding, which you do while reading. Memorizing, which you do later with your SRS. Because they are separate, you do both much better. This is R. Now tell me in the comments, which part of the PACER framework feels most useful for you? So, let's quickly review the full system. P is for procedural practice it. A is for analogous critique it. C is for conceptual map it. E is for evidence store and rehearse it. R is for reference store and rehearse it with an SRS. This is your complete digestion toolkit. This is how you turn information into lasting knowledge. Now, before we move into a practical daily workflow, I want to share something even more powerful. I call these the 3 amplifiers. Think of them as learning superpowers. When you combine PACER with these amplifiers, your learning becomes almost unstoppable. Amplifier 1, the Feynman technique. This technique is beautiful. It is named after Richard Feynman, a brilliant physicist and Nobel Prize winner. What made him special was not just his intelligence. It was his ability to explain very complex ideas in very simple words. He believed something very important. If you can't explain something simply, you don't really understand it. And he was right. Here is how the Feynman technique works. After you read and create your mind map or notes, take a blank piece of paper. Now imagine you are teaching this idea to a 12-year-old child who knows nothing about the topic. Write your explanation using the simplest words possible. No technical language. No fancy vocabulary. As you do this, something interesting happens. You will reach moments where you think, wait, I'm not sure how this part works. That moment is gold. That confusion shows you exactly what you need to study again. Go back to the book. Reread that part. Find another explanation. Look at it from a new angle. Keep working until you can explain it clearly and simply. When you can make the complex simple, that's when you truly understand it. I use this technique all the time. Sometimes I explain ideas out loud to family members. Sometimes I imagine I'm writing for complete beginners. This process forces your brain to organize ideas clearly. It turns shallow understanding into deep, strong knowledge. Amplifier 2, strategic forgetting. Now this sounds strange. We talked so much about remembering and now I'm telling you to forget? Yes, but in a smart way. This is about productive struggle. Here's what most people do wrong. They review their notes too soon and too often. The next day. Then the day after that. They're afraid to forget anything. But this actually weakens memory. It keeps information in short-term memory and stops it from moving into long-term memory. Think about muscles in the gym. If the weight is too easy, muscles don't grow. They need challenge. Memory works the same way. You need to let yourself forget a little. This creates what psychologists call desirable difficulty. When recalling something is slightly hard, the effort strengthens the memory pathway. It's like walking a path in a forest. The more effort you use, the clearer the path becomes. So here is what I recommend. After your first digestion session, wait at least 3 days before reviewing. During those days, don't look at your notes. Don't refresh your memory. Let forgetting happen. Then, after 3 days, take a blank piece of paper. Try to rebuild your mind map or summary from memory. Struggle. Think hard. Work for it. That struggle is what locks the knowledge into your brain. Only after you have tried your absolute best should you look at your original notes. First, struggle. Think. Rebuild from memory. Then, and only then, check what you missed. This method is uncomfortable. Your brain does not like it. It feels much harder than simply rereading your notes every day. But I promise you something important. This discomfort is the path to permanent memory. Struggle is not a sign that you are failing. Struggle is the mechanism of success. Now let's talk about the third amplifier. Amplifier 3. Build a learning community. My friend, you are not meant to learn alone. We are social beings. For thousands of years, humans learned by sitting together, sharing stories, teaching one another around a fire. That is how our brains evolved. But today, learning often looks very different. We sit alone in our rooms, with our books, our notes, our screens, completely isolated. This is a huge waste of potential. When you learn with other people, something powerful happens. You hear perspectives you would never think of on your own. Someone else might explain an idea in a way that suddenly makes it click. You may struggle with something that another person understands easily, and they can help you. And when you explain an idea to someone else, your own understanding becomes much stronger. There is a famous saying in education: to teach is to learn twice. When you teach, you must organize your thoughts clearly. You must anticipate questions. You must look at the idea from different angles. All of this deepens your understanding in ways that reading alone never can. So, how do you build a learning community? Start small. You only need one other person. It could be a colleague, a classmate, a friend, or someone you meet online. Set up a weekly or bi-weekly meeting. It can be in person or online. During each meeting, take turns. One person spends about 15 minutes sharing the most interesting thing they learned that week. They explain the concept. They show their mind map. They share the key insights. The other person listens, asks questions, shares thoughts, or gently challenges ideas. Then you switch roles. You can also join or create a book club, but make it different. Don't just talk about whether you liked the book. Instead, everyone brings their mind maps. Everyone shares one big takeaway. Everyone shares one way they will apply the idea in real life. Then hold each other accountable. At the next meeting, ask, did you actually do what you said you would do? If you can't find people in your daily life, don't worry. The internet makes this easier than ever. There are Discord servers, Reddit communities, Facebook groups. For almost any topic you can imagine. Find your people. Connect with them. Learn together. I want to share something personal with you. Some of my biggest breakthroughs in learning English did not come from textbooks or courses. They came from conversations, from language partners, from online forums where I could ask questions and hear many different explanations. That mix of perspectives, that encouragement when learning felt hard, that social support, those things were priceless. And don't underestimate the power of teaching others. When you learn something valuable, share it. Write a post. Make a video. Explain it to a friend. Teaching doesn't mean you are an expert. It means you are one step ahead and willing to help. And that, my friend, is how learning truly comes alive. Explain it to a friend. Yes, teaching others helps them. But honestly, it helps you even more. There is something powerful about putting knowledge out into the world. When you explain an idea in your own words, it becomes solid in your mind. It stops being loose information and starts becoming real understanding. Nothing else works quite like this. Now, let me talk about something very important. Some of you might be thinking, Shafi, this sounds great, but I'm so busy. I barely have time to read. How am I supposed to add all these extra steps? I understand you completely. Life is demanding. Time is limited. Energy is limited. So let me give you the minimalist version. This is the absolute core. These are the steps you cannot skip. If you have very little time, do only these 3 things and nothing more. First, before you read, ask yourself one clear question: what do I want to learn from this? Second, after reading, take just 5 minutes. Explain the main idea out loud to yourself or write 3 simple sentences that summarize what you read. Third, once a week, schedule one digestion session. In that session, create one mind map for one concept. That's it. Just these 3 small actions will put you ahead of 95% of readers. Later, when the habit feels natural and you see results, you can add more steps. But never feel pressure to do everything perfectly. A simple system you actually use is far better than a perfect system you never touch because it feels overwhelming. Start small. Build momentum. Grow slowly from there. Remember, the goal is not to become a learning machine. The goal is to make reading and learning feel rewarding again. To make it feel like progress instead of wasted time. To look back after 6 months and realize something amazing. You remember more from 5 books you processed deeply than from 50 books you skimmed without thinking. This journey is not just about better memory. It's about respecting your time and effort. It's about honoring the hours you spend learning by making sure those hours actually count. It's about building confidence in your ability to grow, change, and improve. Because when you truly believe you can learn anything effectively, when you trust your learning system, the whole world opens up to you. Every skill feels possible. Every dream feels achievable. Now, let's put everything together into a practical workflow you can start using today. Step 1. The pre-reading ritual. This happens before you even open the book. It takes only 2 minutes, but it makes a huge difference. Stop and ask yourself one important question. What specific question do I want this book to answer for me? What problem am I trying to solve? Write this question down in a notebook or on a piece of paper. This question becomes your North Star. It guides your reading. It keeps you focused and intentional. Step 2. Active consumption. Now you start reading, but you are no longer a passive reader. You're active. You are alert. You are searching for answers. Scan the table of contents. Jump to the chapters that seem most relevant to your question. Read those first. Keep a pen in your hand. Your pen should always be moving. Talk to the book. Write thoughts in the margins. Ask questions. Make connections to your own life. As you read, start mentally labeling information. This is a how-to guide. This is procedural. This is a big idea. This is conceptual. This is a story. This is evidence. This mental tagging prepares your brain for the next step. Step 3. The immediate recap. This step is simple, but incredibly powerful. When you finish reading for the day, do not just close the book and walk away. Do not immediately grab your phone or turn on the TV. Instead, close the book and spend 5 minutes doing this. Summarize what you just read. Say it out loud. Explain it to yourself or to an imaginary friend. Ask yourself, what were the most important ideas? What was the biggest takeaway? Or write a few bullet points on paper. This act of immediate recall is the first step of digestion. It begins moving information from short-term memory into deep, long-term memory. Please do not skip these 5 minutes. They might be the most important 5 minutes of your entire learning session. Step 4. The digestion session. This is where the real work happens. Schedule this session. Later the same day or the next morning. Open your book. Look at your notes and margins. Now begin to process everything using the PACER framework. Take blank paper and build a mind map for the big ideas. Look at examples and stories and question them. Store useful evidence and references in your second brain system. Create flashcards for facts you need to remember. Turn procedures into action plans and schedule practice. You might be thinking, Shafi, this is a lot of work. Yes, it is an investment of time. A good rule is this: for every 1 hour of reading, spend 30 minutes digesting. But trust me, this is the time that matters most. This is what turns reading from a low-value activity into a high-value one. This is the difference between forgetting 90% of a book and remembering 90% of it. And I think we both know which one is worth it. Step 5. Review and rehearse. Learning is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. Your new system includes small, regular reviews. Just a little every day. This keeps knowledge alive. It keeps it accessible. It keeps it useful. And that is how reading becomes meaningful again. Spend just 10 minutes every day reviewing your SRS flashcards. That small daily habit locks important facts into your long-term memory. Then, once a week, maybe on Sunday, spend about 30 minutes reviewing one mind map. Look at it slowly. Explain it to yourself again in your own words. Try to see new connections between ideas. Ask yourself how this concept links to things you already know. Most importantly, look for ways to use what you learn in real life. Talk about these ideas with other people. Apply the advice to real problems you are facing. Try to explain the concept to someone else. This is the moment when knowledge becomes truly yours. It stops being just information stored in your head and becomes part of who you are. For many years, you have been trying hard to learn. You have put in effort. You have spent hours reading and studying. Yet you often felt frustrated. Not because you were lazy. Not because you were incapable. But because you were playing the game with a disadvantage. You were learning with one hand tied behind your back. You focused on the wrong things. On speed. On quantity. On consuming more and more information. And you ignored the one process that actually creates knowledge. That process is digestion. You were pouring water into a bucket with holes in it, then wondering why you always felt empty, why nothing stayed with you. Today, that changes. This two-stage system, combined with the PACER framework, is your complete plan. Your blueprint for fixing that leaky bucket forever. It is a clear, practical way to turn words on a page into deep, lasting, useful knowledge in your mind. It teaches you something very important. Different types of information need different care. Now you know this. Procedural knowledge must be practiced. Analogous knowledge must be questioned and critiqued. Conceptual knowledge must be mapped and organized. Evidence and reference information must be stored and rehearsed wisely. This system asks something from you. It asks you to slow down. It asks you to choose depth over speed. Understanding over volume. But the reward, my friend, is enormous. It is the end of wasted reading. The end of forgetting everything you study. The end of frustration. It is the beginning of building a real library of knowledge in your mind. A library you can use to improve your English, your work, your relationships, and every part of your life. Now, I want to talk about something extremely important. All these techniques are powerful, but their effectiveness can be multiplied or completely destroyed by your lifestyle. There are two quiet heroes of memory that most people ignore. You cannot skip them. They are sleep and focus. Let's talk about sleep first. Sleep is your brain's memory manager. Many people, especially students, treat sleep like an enemy. They see it as wasted time. Time stolen from studying. My friend, please hear this clearly. This is a huge mistake. Sleep is not passive. Your brain is not switched off. In fact, while you sleep, your brain is working hard for you. Most memory consolidation happens during sleep. Consolidation means making memory stable and permanent. Here's a simple way to understand it. During the day, when you learn new things, your brain temporarily stores them in a part called the hippocampus. Think of the hippocampus like a small USB drive. It works, but it has limited space. It fills up quickly. When you fall into deep sleep at night, something amazing happens. Your brain replays important moments from your day, almost like watching short movies. As it replays them, it strengthens the connections between brain cells. Then it transfers those memories from the small USB drive to the huge hard drive of long-term memory called the neocortex. That hard drive has almost unlimited space. This is why pulling an all-nighter is one of the worst things you can do. You keep stuffing information onto the USB drive, but you never give your brain time to move the files. So what happens? The USB gets full. Old information gets deleted. And the next day, you forget most of what you studied. One good night of sleep after studying is far more powerful than hours of tired, painful cramming. Sleep is not a luxury. It is a biological requirement for learning. Here's a small but powerful tip. Review important material briefly right before you sleep. It's like leaving a note for your brain saying, "Please focus on this tonight." Now, let's talk about the second hero. Focus. Focus is the gatekeeper of memory. Attention stands at the front door of your mind. If information does not pass through that gate, none of the other techniques matter. Active recall won't help. Mind maps won't help. Flashcards won't help. Because there is nothing inside your brain to work with. In today's world, the biggest enemy of focus is multitasking. And if you want memory to work, focus must come first. You might think you are good at multitasking. You might believe you can study while checking phone notifications or while a YouTube video plays quietly in the background. But here is the hard scientific truth. Multitasking is a lie. It does not really exist. Your brain cannot focus on two difficult things at the same time. It is. Each switch breaks your concentration. It destroys your flow. It weakens your brain's ability to store information properly. The information that enters your mind becomes weak, broken, and incomplete. It is full of gaps. You end up in a state called continuous partial attention. You are giving a little attention to everything but full attention to nothing. This state is terrible for real learning. If you want to study well, if you want to learn deeply, you must build a fortress of focus. You must protect your attention like it is precious gold. Here are some simple ways to do that. First, create a distraction-free zone. Choose one specific place in your home. It could be a desk, a chair, or a quiet corner. This place is only for learning. No eating there. No scrolling. No movies. When you sit there regularly, your brain learns one thing. This is where we focus. Second, put your phone in another room. Yes, really. Not face down. Not on silent. Not in your pocket. Studies show that even seeing your phone reduces your brain power. Part of your brain is busy resisting the urge to check it. So be strong. Put it in a different room while you study. Third, use a timer. There is a simple and powerful method called the Pomodoro technique. Set a timer for 25 minutes. For those 25 minutes, focus on only one task. No distractions. No switching. When the timer rings, take a short break. 5 minutes is enough. Stand up. Stretch. Drink water. Look outside. After 4 sessions, take a longer break, maybe 15 or 30 minutes. This method trains your attention like a muscle. It turns focus into a game instead of a struggle. My friend, your focus is limited and valuable. Treat it with respect. 1 hour of deep, focused work is worth more than 3 or 4 hours of distracted studying. Learning is not about time spent. It is about depth of attention. Now let's bring everything together. The path to remembering what you read is not complicated. It is not secret knowledge for geniuses. It is a clear path that anyone can follow. It starts with a change in mindset. Your goal is no longer finishing pages. Your goal is understanding. You stop collecting facts and start building connections. Connection, not collection. That is your new rule. Then you use the PACER framework. 5 types of information. 5 ways to digest them. Procedural information, practice it. Analogous information, question and critique it. Conceptual information, map it visually. Evidence, store it and rehearse it. Reference facts, store them, and rehearse them with spaced repetition. This framework is your full toolkit for turning information into real knowledge. You support the system with two powerful foundations: sleep and focus. Sleep strengthens memories overnight. Focus allows information to enter your brain in the first place. You stop treating sleep as wasted time and start treating it as part of learning. You protect your attention like gold, because without attention, nothing else works. You follow a simple 5-step workflow. First, a pre-reading ritual to set your intention. Second, active reading where you search for answers. Third, an immediate recap to start memory formation. Fourth, a digestion session using Pacer. Fifth, review and rehearsal over time. My dear friend, the ability to learn well is the ultimate life skill. It helps you learn English. It helps your career. It helps every part of your life where growth matters. That painful cycle of reading and forgetting is not your destiny. You do not need to be born a genius. You do not need a perfect memory. You only need to stop using passive methods and start using active, proven strategies. Now you have the blueprint. You have the map. The tools are already in your hands. Now go and build a better brain, a stronger mind, a more confident version of yourself. Be kind to yourself on this journey. Learning takes time. Some days will feel easy. Some days will feel hard. That is normal. Keep going. You are doing better than you think. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. It has truly been an honor to guide you. I hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to transform how you learn. Remember this: every book you read from now on can become a permanent part of you if you use this system. Before you go, I have one small request. In the comments, tell me one technique you are excited to try next. Just one. Is it the blank paper method? Your first mind map? Or setting up spaced repetition? Writing it down is a promise to yourself. And promises create action. And don't forget to subscribe to Feel Learns English for daily practice that keeps you motivated and consistent. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Your future self will thank you. Until we meet again, my friend, take care of yourself. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep believing in your ability to improve. I believe in you completely. This is Shafi, and this is Feel Learns English, signing off with love and encouragement. Bye for now, seedling.